What's interesting is I think I'm at that age right now where I witness what it's like to lead and manage somebody younger than me. And I can see the challenge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, come on, y'all. Like, this is not how we do things. This is not how we work. This is not what do you mean that you're not feeling it? You know what I'm saying? However, I wonder if we applied that same empathy that was given to us when we first entered the workplace to those who are now entering into the workplace. How would our workplace culture increase when we take the time to pause and engage those who are coming in with sincerity and empathy? In this Shift Your Lens episode, we're going to talk a little bit about what does it look like to engage the next generation in the workplace dynamic and help everybody who steps into our leadership be successful and thrive. Welcome to Shift Your Lens. My name is Ray White, organizational development consultant and the writer of The Leader's Lens. Question that was brought up through our Leader's Lens survey was, how can I as a leader engage the next generation in the workplace dynamic? Now, I've seen some statistics somewhere that say we got about 5 generations working in the same workplace at the moment, from silent generation all the way down to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, right? So we all up in here. We all out here, or in these Zoom boxes, right? We out here in the workplace. And because of just the generational changes of our society, of how people show up, why they show up, and what they show up for, that permeates into our workplace. That permeates into the way that we work and how we show up in our work, right? And if we are the person, especially in the middle management space, having to engage and navigate that, we have to understand, what does it look like to build connections and relationships with the next generation, so that way they feel that they have what they need to be successful and thrive in the space. And we have to understand that might look different than how we Belly stepped into the space. I'm a millennial. I stepped into leadership when about 12 years ago. And at that time, I was leading and engaging with people who had been at the workplace as long as I've been alive. So I know there probably were some dynamics there of them, like, who's this young buck trying to talk to me about how to lead or how to engage in this work, right? I get it. I understand. Now we're at this position where we are, and at least in my generation, one previous before me with the Gen Xers, are moving into the season where we are in these head of leadership positions. There are new folks coming into the workplace. We also don't want to reinvent or recreate that cycle of this next generation can't work, or this next generation does not have what it takes to be successful, all this kind of stuff. Because then we're just replicating what we've experienced in the workplace. So as I processed the question I was brought in from the Leaders Lens survey, there are three things that I wanted to share that I'm going to share with you all as well, to help reframe and shift your lens on what the next generation entering the workplace. First one being, what would it look like if we asked them what success looks like? What would it look like if we just help change the context to say, get in where you fit in, versus we got to get to this point in our strategic goals, and we know you have these certain set of skills, but what else do you see, or what else could you add or provide that can add to and help enhance what's going on here, right? We all recognize that we're multifaceted human beings. We're not just one singular focused type of worker. Most of us understand that there's a lot more to us than meets the eye, right? And if we want people to come into the workplace fully invested in the work, being connected to the team, connected to the work, we will encourage them to what does it look like to bring some of that element within the workspace, if you want to, right? How do we encourage that? We don't want to check everybody at the door or check all those things at the door, but if there are opportunities where they can come in and engage and understand what success looks like for them, let's invite that. Let's share that. Let's build that into the workspace, right? Let's provide spaces where we can help understand the expectations of the work means, but in relationship, in conjunction, co-creating that together. I'm not saying you got to be their parent or their therapist or bend over backwards to change all the things you're doing in the workspace, but you can engage them and say, maybe there are other motivations that help them show up into the space that's beyond just the paycheck or promotions. It could just be like, they want to be recognized for the work that they do, or they want to help provide this creative element into the workspace, or maybe they just want to put their head down and get to work, and that's all okay. But engage them, ask them, what do they see as success for them? What is the success in this goal that we're trying to reach? And show that you're a partner in helping them get there versus just a boss who's sitting back and telling them what to do in a very dictatorship way. The second reframe that we want to do engaging this next generation of leaders is reframe feedback conversations. Look at feedback as an opportunity to focus on what process can look like more than just the person not doing their job. I get it. I don't like getting feedback personally. Sometimes I feel attacked if somebody says I ain't doing something right, right? And I know that being an athlete, there's a lot of times where the coach literally tells you, yo, you ran that play wrong, or you dropped the ball, or whatever. All that is that's existing, but there is an opportunity for personally to see feedback as an opportunity for improvement, and then how we communicate that feedback as an opportunity to focus on process and what they can do to accelerate in that process, whether it is upping their skills or revisiting a problem in a new way or taking a step back, letting things sit for a minute so that way the issue or whatever can manifest differently to revisit it, the goal for a better outcome. I understand the resistance to any type of feedback that you might be receiving if you're giving it, because again, how we may approach it may be saying you are wrong. And there are ways in which that we can approach that, which I could probably link that. I'll link that in the show notes of how to handle tough conversations in it. But more than likely, if our approach is saying we are noticing a problem in this process or in this system, you are a part of this process and system. Let's talk about what success could look like in success in this process and system. And that can reveal, do they have the tools? Are they misguided? Are they misinformed? Is everything working and it's just circumstantial, right? Like there are some opportunities to expand the door for other things that are going on. But as something we talk about in my workplace, assume positive intent, but assume positive intent while recognizing the impact of our intentions. We got to hold both things in tension as we engage in feedback and help understand, look at the process more than the person, but see the person as a part of the process and collectively say, what can success look like now that we are entering into the space to make the process better? The third thing we could do in engaging the next generation is finding connection points. As you know, I'm a person that is always talking about how do we include people, help people feel like they belong so that way they can thrive. Belonging takes an opportunity for you to feel connected to the work, the mission, the people in that space. And when you don't have that connection, when you don't feel like there is some level of like community or continuity or bridge being built between one person or one thing to another, that's when you see drifting happen and a disconnect and people not really feeling like they are a part of the work. And then that's when they silently quit or actually quit in the workspace. This is again not to say that you open up every meeting and you talk about what what's going on Netflix or the game last night, which both could be great things to do, but maybe it's an opportunity just to look into what they find value, what is how are they showing up, or what are their things that light them up, and having a dialogue about that and showing that like I actually do care. Like this is not a manipulation tactic. Like I do care about what's going on in your home life or what's going on in your extracurriculars in the community, or what are you doing over the weekend. Like those things are important, and then as you follow up on that to say, yo, how did that go? Like that is just more inviting to say, oh, actually this person does care about me, not just what I produce. Ask what success looks like. Reframe how you give feedback conversations and find ways to make connection points or ways you can engage the next generation. But I would love us to then take another 10,000-foot level and say, this is how we can engage everybody in the workplace. This is not just a generation, just to younger generational thing. This is across generations, across cultures, across dynamics. And as leaders in the middle, we are often engaging various dynamics, not just of our social demographics, but even organizational levels as well. What if we practice these same concepts and principles in how we make connections with the team member or another team across the aisle? How do we break silos by understanding what success looks like for them, engaging in what feedback of the process looks like, and helping build connection points that is a bridge between the work that we're doing between teams? How do we build good relationships with our one-ups and the relationships that we have with them to understand what their structures or strategies or stress or stresses are, and build relationships with them? How do we build connections with our customers? How do we build connections with those on our direct reports? Whether organizational leadership or whether in our organizational context or within the social demographics, these same principles can be leveraged in just building great relationships and strong relationships with the people around us, building that social element in the way that we lead, and helping all of us come together, co-creating to a better success and future so everybody can belong and thrive. So, well, yes, this could be reframed for the workplace generational dynamic. It also could be reframed for all elements in building relationships with the people around us. I would love to hear from you as a middle manager, as a mid-level leader. What are the ways that you are building and developing your workplace dynamics so every person to feel like they belong and thrive? You can get at me at Ray Devante on all social media platforms. And if you're sitting back and thinking, dang, I really want to be that leader that is being that bridge, helping strengthen our workplace dynamics and ensuring that every person feels like they're connected, they can understand their goals and successes, and our processes are strong so people can feel success. I coach mid-level leaders to lead from the middle out and be that leader that is building bridges and making connections so every person can belong and thrive. You can learn about that in the link in the bio, and we can work together. Let me know what you think about these Shift Your Lens episodes. You can get these in your inbox by tapping the link below as well. Subscribe to the Leaders Lens newsletter, where you get these bite-sized and deep dives into leadership concepts to help you lead well from the middle out. And I look forward to talking to you on the next episode. Peace.